SGW. Now, here is your host, Kareem Bowen.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of United Shades of Gray, Conversations of Race in America. I want to thank all of you guys for tuning in. Those of you who listen and tune in, we see your likes, tags, and shares in our social media platforms. And for those of you who just listen to us on the radio, we certainly thank you as well for tuning in to WSGW for United Shades of Gray. So today we're going to take a different spin. I know we're normally talking about issues of race and conversations of race. And maybe, race will be injected in the conversation that we have today. We're in the studio today with my producer, my main man, John B. in the place to be. John, what's good?
Hello, hello.
Not pictured in this photo is our co-host, Mark Bassett. He is not with us on today, but when he comes in on next week, I'm really going to be interested in what some of his thoughts and perspectives are, seeing he was a former employee of a ton of individuals. Employer. Yes, that's what I meant. And so he is, I'm sure he's had this conversation a million times. As we plan to have some difficult conversations or really prepare you or to talk and have conversations about difficult conversations, we're going to talk about 7 key ways to effectively deal with workplace issues, as well as on next week, we're going to have a conversation about how do you really allow your employer to know that you don't feel like you're being valued to the fullness of their abilities and that you want to raise. You feel like you've been here long enough, you've done enough, you've put enough effort in, and now it's time for you to ask for a raise. We're going to talk about how do you position yourself for that conversation. If you're in schools are back in session pretty soon. It is changing of a season. We're heading into a new season, and many of you are changing seasons in your life. And so we want to make sure that we're not just talking about race all the time, but sometimes you got to take a break. Just do a woosah, relax, relate, and release. And so this is our way of staying sane because there's so much that is happening in the world around us. John, anyways, before you get to there, how are you doing today personally?
I'm doing well. When you're just getting over being sick and it's like, I can experience the world again. That's where I'm at today.
I know exactly what you're feeling. I had a situation this week. Okay, first of all, when someone looks like they eat babies for a living because they have so many muscles, all like there's little body parts sticking out of their body, that's how many muscles they got, you should always beware. So I'm working out with this new guy, this new trainer, and we'll just call him David, since that's really kind of his name. And he's like, hey, I was like, hey, I've been working on shedding weight, getting the pounds down, just reducing the weight. And so I'm at a point right now that I want to start kind of just toning up and really, getting the muscles and getting your body together. And he was like, oh, yeah. I got you. This is how he sounds. I got you.
Don't worry. We will pump you up.
We will pump you up. You got to be an 80s, 90s baby to understand that. But anyways, so we go to Coops. Now, that should tell you everything. We go to Coops and we're getting ready. We're filling in. And we get going. He's got a couple young jack guys with him as well. I'm like, this is crazy. I am not about to be running around with these guys in my 50-plus-year-old self. So we start going, and I'm like, okay, we do our first round of bench presses. Then we do our second round of bench press. Then we do our third round of bench press. So I'm thinking like 3 sets, and we're done, right? That's the way I do it. Then we do our fourth round of bench press.
3 sets of 3, maybe.
Then we do our fifth round of bench press. Then we get to our 6th round of bench press, and we follow it up with push-ups. Who can do a push-up after doing? I mean, and we're doing it. May for y'all, it may not be, but to me, it was a challenge, right? I'm getting in. The goal was 10 weights. By my 4th round, I was like 3. No, but it was work. And so we do these push-ups, we do all of this stuff, and then he's like, yeah, so we're going to do a cool down. This is my kind of thing. We're going to get on the treadmill. I'm like thinking, okay, 2.5, 20 minutes on the treadmill. Yeah, we're going to go to 2.5 setting, but I want you to put your incline on 15. And we're going to go 5-minute increments and go down 3 every 5 minutes.
This is a trainer that doesn't want you around for long. Either you're going to get fit in a week or you're going to leave.
Jonathan, I'm looking in the building like I'm looking for escape routes. Like I was waiting for somebody to say blink twice if you need help because it was crazy. So I get on this thing and the cardio is not the hard part. I'm not gonna lie. 15, I've done 12 before, but 15 was a challenge. I could not wait to get to 12. And by the time I got to 9, I was like just overjoyed and almost dead. So I was fine. Like, oh, how you feeling? Oh, I feel good. I feel the endorsements. I wake up the next morning. I cannot move. I tell you, my back, it feels like someone grabbed the base of my spine and was holding it clenched in their fist. I could not move. And so I'm laying in bed, like I couldn't move to the left or to the right. It was like a little baby. I could not even turn over, couldn't turn myself over. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God, I've killed something. Something died. And then I go on and I'm calling, and my mom had an appointment. She goes to the runner store and she sees Dr. Bill at the runner store. And they have this, she goes to this cold therapy and this foot thing and all of these other things. And so I'm sitting there and I'm sitting in the chair and he comes over and I'm trying to stand up. He's like, oh, what's wrong? Like, my back is on fire. I don't know what to do. He says, inflammation, whenever you feel pain, it's inflammation.
Most of the time. Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
He says, especially you've been working out. Yep. He goes, whenever you feel pain, it's usually inflammation most of the time. And so he says, I said, oh, so my back is on fire. He says, yeah, so you should do a cryotherapy. Now, I've never done this before, but I get into this chamber and I'm stripped down to my skivvies. I got something wrapped around my neck. I don't know. It felt like a scarf or something that they put around my neck. And I step up into this cryotherapy chamber.
This is white people stuff.
This is white people stuff, right? Our brother just like, I'm going to rock with the pain.
I've even looked at it and I've gone, no.
I'm not doing that. That's what I said. So I get in here and he goes, we're going to bring your skin temperature down to 44 degrees. I'm like, does he realize that I am a tropical person? A good summer day for me is 105. 44-degree temperatures is bananas. So bringing my skin temperature down to 44 degrees. So I don't know how cold it was in this chamber, but I could feel like flecks of ice seem like go around and hit my body. And so I'm sitting there, but I tell you this, 3.5 minutes is what he had me in there for. Within the first minute, I could stand up straight. I could no longer feel the pain in my back. He goes, yeah, that's all that inflammation getting out of there. I said, either that or I'm just frozen to pieces. I can't feel anything. By the time I got to 2 minutes, I wanted to tap out because I don't understand. I don't know if you understand what I mean, Jonathan. Like, you get so cold that it hurts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I was at a point that I was so cold that it was hurting. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to tap out. I'm about to be the biggest wimp in this place right now because I'm tapping out.
Or your bones just start to feel like.
It was the crazy. I hate it. And for a tropical person like myself, this is going the opposite direction of relaxation. But at the end of the 3.5 minutes, I could feel the cold stuff just kind of stop, but I could feel absolutely no pain. So I'm like, okay, wait till I step down. I'm going to feel this thing again. So I come step down out of it. He goes, hey, we're going to do some red light therapy to warm you up a little bit and whatever. So I lay down in the bed really, gingerly. And in the 15 minutes, I fall asleep. Well, the timer lets me know that my session's over. I was startled and I just jumped right up and I'm getting dressed. I'm going, wait a minute, I don't even feel my back pain. I was blown away. I had never, ever in my life heard of anything like this. But I know cold plunges just kind of like to rejuvenate, but I never had anything quite like this. And the pain was gone. So I'm like, okay, yeah, it's gone now because I'm still frozen. Wait till later in the day. And as I continue throughout the day, I felt a little tweak, but it hasn't been anything like what I was experiencing. And so today, so I've been sleeping forever. So today when I got up and I was like, wow, I don't feel any pain. I was really amazed. So, it was something that I think that I'm going to continue to do. My mom does it. She's had, what is a kyphoplasty, where you have a vertebrae that breaks or it's smashed and they have to lift it up with like cement inside where the vertebrae was. And so she's had, these chronic pain issues that she's dealt with. But I'm going to tell you, as a younger man experiencing this, I am completely sold. Homeopathic medicine to certain degrees really work. I think that is something that I'm going to really do, because one thing that it also did for me, Jonathan, I suffer from a lot of inflammation, phlegm, and stuff from sinuses and allergies and things. Gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh my goodness, I don't have to only do the bees honey in, the local area, localized area, but it took away a lot of the phlegm and a lot of the other stuff that I normally have to deal with just as seasonal things. So that has been my week. It has been a week of recovery, but it's been exciting to know that those therapies are out there. For those of you, if you've ever tried them before, let us know if you have. I've never done this, Jonathan. I'm assuming, since you said that's some real white boy
I've
stuff.
heard of it. I've never done it.
Have you ever been curious about it?
Like, I want to know more, but I don't think I'd ever wanted to try it.
I didn't want to try it either, but
Yeah.
the pain that I was experiencing made it all worth the while. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue down this journey of holistic representation. I do a lot of vitamins. Do you take vitamins, Jonathan?
Nope.
None at all.
Not really.
Okay, so I take vitamins like crazy. So
I should do more.
You should. So I do one a day. I do a B6, B12 complex for my low iron. And I have started this thing of doing these compressed juices. What, Jonathan? Why are you looking at me?
So if cryotherapy is white people stuff, then going through your list of vitamins that you take is old people stuff.
No, hey, when you get older, you do both white people and old people stuff. Hey, when you hurt, you will do whatever, whoever people's stuff that makes you feel better. And I'm not gonna lie, I felt like an old man. As a matter of fact, I was like, dude, I'm used to my parents doing this stuff, but as you get older, I like life is a little bit different. When my parents would say, "Oh, give me a second so I can get up," I never really understood what it meant. Now at 50 plus, I understand how it feels to have to get up and crank start your body. You got to get that thing cranking, give it a little second, take your time, and you're rocking into getting out of bed. That's not normally how I feel, but in that particular situation, it gave me that experience. And I was like, wow, I got to be a lot more patient with my mom. I'm like, why is she taking all day? Well, probably because she has to. So all of you seniors out there, and those who are 50 and older who are understanding what I'm talking about, Jonathan has no clue. I want to salute those of you who are doing extremely well. Those of you who are getting to the gym, staying fit, and keeping yourselves together. This is a commercial for $19.95. No, I'm just joking. I want to encourage each of you to continue. I am understanding as I mature that health is wealth. They say that health is wasted on the young. I'm going to tell you, as I mature, I'm understanding the importance of really taking care of yourself. So very, very, very important. So let's get into today's conversation. We're going to talk about, first of all, 7 keys to effectively dealing with workplace issues. Jonathan, have you ever had issues? Not in this workplace, of course, because we don't do anything but smile in here. But in other places of business.
Kareem, well, let's talk about some issues in the workplace, like when your coworker oversleeps and shows up 30 minutes after they were supposed to.
What do you do in these moments, right? Those ungratefuls, those ingrates, what do you do with those people who just seem to think I'm the talent and shows up whenever? But these are things, honestly, because what happened today, so Jonathan is kind of letting you guys know to something that happened. I have gotten into being down, and this was kind of like my off week. Out of 52 weeks, this was kind of like my off week where we shut down the office. Everyone's not working. When you work with young people, it takes a lot. So we usually do like 2 weeks. This is week 1. Next week was like week 2. And I'm going to tell you, Jonathan, I fell in love with staying in bed. It only took like 3. I really didn't do it until my back hurt and I stayed in bed. And then like the next day I got up and like, why don't I stay in bed? I understand you people who love your beds. I always thought you were crazy. I'm learning.
I love naps.
You love naps?
Oh, love them. 20-minute power nap in the afternoon.
Whew. I never understood. I always said, you know what? I'll sleep when I'm dead. But I've come to understand the importance of resting. So today, my body just went into sleep mode. I was a long day yesterday. Went to bed kind of late, going over some grant stuff and all this other stuff. And my body just did not want to move. And then I got up like super early. Then I laid back down. And that's the worst. Whenever you go to sleep, you wake up and and I overslept. So it sounds crazy I oversleep for a 1 o'clock appointment, but I wasn't here. And Jonathan, thank you, Jonathan, for being so patient. Let's talk about that. Let's start there, Jonathan. We're talking about dealing with workplace issues. what do you deal with? Not me, never me, could never be me. How do you deal with people? Because time is very important, right? The only thing that you don't get back is time. How do you deal with people in a productive way? Let's say Kareem. Let's just use the name Kareem, for example.
As if it's,
If it's this person named Kareem. Generic name. How do you deal with people when you value time and they are a bit more, if you've ever been in Jamaica, I don't mean this offensively, they're a bit more Jamaican in their time experience. Jamaica's like, hey, take it easy, Jamaica easy, Jamaica Irie. How do you deal with solving those kinds of issues when their performance, they're showing up, sometimes impacts what you're able to do? What are the best ways you think that you can deal with those things?
So with any frustration in any situation, but especially in the workplace where you've got these ongoing professional relationships that are going to keep going, kind of what I try to do is look past the moment. Is, okay, this is awful. Right now, I'm upset, I'm annoyed, I'm irritated. It's a Friday afternoon and I want to go home. But this one, it's not going to kill my whole weekend. I have a whole weekend in front of me. 2, let's look a week down the line. Let's look 2 weeks down the line. 3 months, a year. Let's make sure that this consistently stays healthy. If it's a personal relationship and you have kind of that flexibility, but in a professional setting, you've got to deal with these people. That's the situation. You're in a professional environment. You're going to have to keep dealing with these people. And it's like, okay, what can I do right now to make sure that the next 3 weeks, a month, a year is good and better than this one moment?
Especially when you have people who think that they're divos, right?
Yeah. If you're gonna blow up on every inconvenience, then that next 3 weeks, month, year, whatever, is going to be awful because you've created more turmoil in that professional relationship. So just value the long term over the short term.
And Jonathan, I want to thank you for saying that. But I also want to let's have a real conversation, right, about dealing with some workplace issues. And Jonathan working with me is no cup of tea, because I'm the kind of person I operate. I don't want to say scatterbrained because I'm kind of focused. I'm very focused, but I operate on passion. So when you operate on passion, like, oh, you might be passionate about this, and then you move to something else. But you did something, Jonathan. How long have we been working together?
3 years?
About 3 years. When you first came in, Jonathan was temporary. And it was funny because my former producer would always say, oh, no, it's okay. You're the talent. You're the talent. Oh, no, it's okay. You're the talent. We'll work through it. Whatever you say. And hey, it's your show. You're the talent. And that kind of can mess with you because you start thinking, I'm the talent. So when Jonathan came in, you replaced my old producer. You sat in, and I remember the powers that be were like, "Hey, let this kid Jonathan sit in and tell me what you think about him." And I valued your opinion very much, and you were consistent. And I'm going to tell you what I love about people are people who are consistently the same. You're not on 12 one day and then at 3 the next day. You're pretty an even 8, I think, most of the time. But you did something that was really interesting because I am the talent, right? I'm the talent. So I'm coming in, and there are people that people work with every single day that think that they are God's gift to that office. And not that I thought that, but I was the talent. And I'd come in late, kind of like consistently. And I have a tendency, and I say this all the time, I'm continually correcting myself on making sure that I'm really paying attention to people's time. I don't freak out about time. So if someone's late, I don't freak out.
I do.
And I know you do. and I know you do. But this is important because you did something, Jonathan, as a young man. I mean, you're almost half my age. I shouldn't have said that on TV because people that couldn't tell that before.
Kareem, I did the math. You're the same age as my parents.
I am. But you did something that was very mature. It stung a little bit. But I appreciated it because it was done professionally. And what you did in that moment, so for all of you people out there that work with people who kind of march to the beat of their own drum, and who haven't necessarily mastered the fact that people view time differently and you can't push that on other people. What you did, Jonathan, is you said, hey, Kareem, can we have a conversation? you took a break, you took a pause, and I think that you kind of thought about this, like you just said that you did, and you thought about, okay, this is where we are. Let's think about the relationship. I like Kareem as a person. He's driving me crazy in terms of how he's showing up here, but so let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. You didn't fly off the handle, and you came to me. We sat down and we talked. You said, "Listen, I have other things that I have to do. This is," and you kind of mapped out how this happens. And when you don't show up at this time, this is what it does. And I have other things that are coming after this. So my time depends on you showing up in a timely manner so that I can do the other things that I need to do. Now, you didn't have to do it. You could have went and ran and complained to other people, but you were mature in how you handled it. You said that you were very stern. And I remember thinking, like, this little punk kid, does he not realize that I'm the talent? Like, you just got here. But you did it in a way that was so non-threatening, that was, I think, very professional. And you pulled every opportunity for me to be offended out of that experience by you being very controlled and how you dealt with it. You didn't just say, you always late. You said, Kareem, these are instances that I'm experiencing.
And here's the why.
And this is what, absolutely. Here's the why. And this is what I'm going to suggest.
And in any communication, it needs to start with, here's what I'm experiencing.
Yes.
Here's what I'm seeing. Not, here's what you're doing wrong.
Absolutely.
Here's what I'm seeing.
Here's what I'm seeing. Here are some examples. This is why it's important. And I took that and I said, I kind of like, I really like Jonathan, but it was that moment in how you were dealing with something that was very difficult that didn't cause a rift, but you actually won over an individual, a friend, and build a relationship. We're going to come back more with how do you deal with those workplace instances that drive you crazy. We're going to talk more about this when we come back with more United Shades of Grey.
You're listening to United Shades of Grey on WSGW.
This is Kareem. We're back with more United Shades of Grey. Today, we're talking about those annoying coworkers. No, we're talking about effective ways of dealing with issues in the workplace. Jonathan was just talking about an individual that I was just talking about a guy named Kareem that Jonathan worked with who had some issues with being on time for his interview appointments. But we were talking and Jonathan gave some great points. You talked about how you had to pause and react before you react. Oftentimes we're upset and we respond to things while we're upset. Then we talked about addressing the issue directly and being very firm. And that's what you did. Jonathan, tell me what was going through your mind when you were planning that conversation, if you remember.
Well, I think it helps to, especially in a professional environment. I have an amazing supervisor and an amazing boss. I'll say the two people that are above me are great. And I can go to one of them and say, here's what I'm dealing with, and just kind of talk through the issue.
Yeah.
And he'll say, all right, deal with it. And I'll go to and if I can't deal with it, he's there ready to help. And both of them are kind of like that, where it's like, okay, do you want us to step in? No, I just need to be able to have the latitude to deal with it, but also be able to bounce that off of somebody and just let it go somewhere appropriate. Like, my boss needs to be aware of what's going on in my job.
Absolutely.
But they give me the leash to kind of handle it myself unless I need help.
But I think that's important, Jonathan. I like the fact that what they're in essence doing is they're providing a sounding board.
Yeah.
So they're saying, hey, okay, you're in this position. Can you handle it? Yes, you can. What are your thoughts on how you're going to do this? We're going to support you.
And I never come to them without here's what I'm thinking. And that's the biggest thing.
That's important.
Don't come to somebody with a problem if you can't offer a solution.
Jonathan, what do you think is important? Because one of the things, the next step of on how to deal with workplace issues is to address those issues early. You've already talked about addressing them directly. You don't talk to Paul about issues you got with Peter, but dealing with those issues, being very clear and concise about those issues. How important is it to address those issues early?
Very. Like, as long as there's, and this kind of goes into kind of the next step there, is document important situations.
Yeah.
If it's a one-off thing, Hey, I'm late because something happened. I got a flat tire. Great. Have grace. It happens. But if there's a pattern developing, being able to look back and put those things together and say, okay, this is what's happening. So you don't want to do it too early where, hey, you were late twice
Right.
in the last 4 months.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Like, but if it's a consistent thing, you don't want to react too early, because if it's infrequent,
What does the
it's not
data
worth
say?
addressing.
Right.
Yeah. But once a pattern emerges, stop it, because that pattern's not going to stop on its own, and more often than not, it's just going to get worse. And so it's the same thing of look past the moment, look down the line a little bit. You're all trying to make whatever professional environment you're in succeed.
Yeah.
What's going to make this succeed down the line is not letting something boil.
And that's the key. We tend to, as people, we tend to be very, we would consider us being tolerant, meaning we're just going to let it slide. A part of not saying anything,
avoiding conflict,
that's
is
what it is.
not
It's avoidance.
good.
And so when we're dealing with these, we got to realize that if we're avoiding the situation, we say, I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna be tolerant. And patience and tolerance are, to me, they're kind of synonymous with saying, I really don't feel comfortable addressing the issue, so I'm going to avoid the issue and hope it gets better.
Because what happens when patience runs out? It gets heated, right?
Yeah.
Better to deal with it with patience and deal with it while you have that patience than to let that patience run out.
And Jonathan, you then went on and you were talking about documenting important situations. We want to make sure that we're keeping notes of like dates, times, emails, things that we're in communication in. But go ahead.
And here's the thing. In bad workplace environments that I've heard from friends, random people online, whatever, the people who are creating bad workplace environments don't want things in writing. They don't want you to send them emails with problems. They don't want anything in writing. Why don't you just come down and talk to me?
Yeah.
No, I think we need this in writing.
Absolutely.
And that's something that I learned. I worked at a preschool for 5 years.
Can't you guys see Jonathan as a preschool teacher? I think, Jonathan, you look like they need you back.
But while I worked there, that was a big thing. It's like, this kid's got behavioral issues. Okay, we start up a journal for him. Hey, on Tuesday at such and such a time, they hit another kid or whatever. And we just keep a journal of those things and document those instances so that there's more information to work off of. And it's not just, I feel like you're doing this.
That's the key, because our feelings will magnify whatever our thoughts are.
Yeah.
And so if I feel that you're late, it's going to matter. You're late all of the time. That drives me crazy when people are like, oh, you do this all the time. Maybe you hurt someone's feeling and maybe you didn't wash a dish in the sink, right? You're in the workplace, you share kind of like a breakfast area. You don't wash a pot after the potluck at the office, and they never wash. I cannot stand those types of exaggerations. So I'm like, okay, when you say I never wash, give me an example.
When else did I
do this?
Yeah.
And so we have to make sure that we're doing documentation. And I always say that if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist anyways. Because however you feel about a person will be magnified by what your thoughts are, or your thoughts will be magnified by how you feel. So if you don't really care for a person, everything that they do is going to magnify that. And it's going to seem bigger because that individual did it than anything else. So whenever you're in, especially in the workplace, everyone has that one person that drives people crazy in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
Am I that person?
No.
Okay. Whew,
not while you're here anyway.
But everyone has that one individual that drives people bananas in the workplace. Either they're not doing their fair load of work, they're not showing up on time, they're not doing the things that are important to everyone else, they're not sharing information. There's that one individual. So you have to make sure that you're documenting these things so that when you talk to that individual, it's not your feelings or your thoughts.
And maybe you're not talking to that individual. Maybe you're talking to the boss.
Okay.
Hey, I need to bring this to your attention, boss. This has been going on. Here are situations where this happened, documented. So-and-so can corroborate it. This is something that needs to be addressed. So, and if you have an HR department in your company, that makes your case a lot stronger for something to actually happen, because sometimes that's the right avenue. Sometimes it's not for you to go to that person.
Especially if you don't like that person, just write everything down and take it to the boss. No, but honestly, do you think that there is a difference? I'm glad you put that inflection in. Do you think there's a difference when you document things and you talk with a coworker or a subordinate versus when you document things and you take it to an authoritarian? I always say an authoritarian, like a supervisor. Is there a difference when maybe you should or maybe you shouldn't do one over the other?
When it's an annoyance, you can talk to the other person. Hey, I've noticed you're not putting timestamps on your audio files. You're not dating these things that you're saving,
Right.
and it causes more work for me. These are things I've run into.
I couldn't imagine that these are things that are happening.
But you're not doing something that makes my job harder. Can you please do that? That's something you can talk directly to that person about. If it's something that is going to be harmful, if it's something that's possibly illegal or really, really uncomfortable to talk about, that's when you take it to the boss. You take it up a level, because then think about it as, is it your job to deal with this? Like, there are things that I am glad are not my job,
Right.
and dealing with like personal disputes between two people is one of them. But if
they're not a part of your management,
this person isn't pulling their weight, and here's why they're not pulling their weight, here's how they're not pulling their weight. If I walk to that person, if you're the person that I have a conflict with, and I say, you're a lazy piece of crap, here's why, that's how they're going to hear.
Here's why you're a lazy piece of crap. Yeah.
But if you go to the boss and you say this person's being lazy and not doing what they need to do, the boss can look at it, find that, and they have the authority and the responsibility to do something about that.
Now I'm going to say this. It's been a long time since I've had to work in an office space and share things of that nature. But what I will say is this. I think that the way that you handled the issue with me, you came to me directly. And I think that most people would say, hey, if you have an issue with me, just come to me. And when you take an issue, especially when it's in writing and it's documented and it's date stamped, and you take it to a supervisor and says, hey, these are some concerns that I have about them who sits on the other side of my cubicle wall, it feels like you're being ratted on. And I think that a lot of people, but I think that there are times if you don't have the relationship or if you don't feel comfortable, I think you definitely do that. But I think that in most cases, I would say if you think you can forge an initial conversation and you have the bearings to be able to do that, I think that's always a great first step.
Yeah, if you've tried to, you don't come to them with the list of issues, and the documentation is for when you need to take it up a level.
Yeah.
Which I've had to do in the past. But like when I came to you, part of it was I had the authority. I'm the producer of this show. It's my job. It's my responsibility to make sure that this gets done every week in a certain way and gets done in a quality way. So it's like, okay, you being late is interfering with that.
Yeah.
It's my job to remove that obstacle.
Yeah. And you're helping me in the process.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Sometimes we don't understand that corrective conversations have the ability, they're really for the benefit of the entire system, but they help you in the process. Because I'll tell you this, that wasn't the only time I was late. There were other things, and it makes you be conscious of the thing. You know, I got to be conscious of this. I need to be a little bit more aware of this. It makes you take accountability. So you have to call or text or let someone know, hey, this is what's going on. How do you want me? And that was one of the things I said. Listen, Jonathan, I understand that my tardiness today may be a problem. If you need to do something differently, I certainly understand. And you're like, nope, come on in. And so I think that we have to take.
And I'm going to say,
go ahead.
If you hadn't said that, I was going to call you and say, turn around, go home. Like, no joke. It's like that accountability that, hey, I get it. Okay.
You know what's crazy is that we're actually talking about something that's real life.
This happened less than an hour ago.
This was less than an hour ago. But as I was thinking about that, I was thinking about what we were talking about today. I said, this is a perfect conversation. Yeah. And I have no issue with being the content for the conversation.
I'm not trying to pick on you.
No, not at all. Yeah. And I don't receive it that way because I think you have already demonstrated before that you're going to handle it in a particular way. And so I feel comfortable having this conversation because I think that there's a lot of people who are dealing with individuals who are chronically late, who do not value their time. And it's crazy because we always find people who are very time conscious with people who have a laissez-faire approach to life, always working together in that same thing, in the same place.
But you got, whenever you have any organization, you're going to have people of all values working together, and those are going to come into conflict sometimes.
Okay, so Jonathan, let's talk about having this courageous conversation. You talked about taking it to a level. We talked and gave an example on one instance where you approached that person directly. How do we then say, you know what, this is above my pay grade. I don't get paid to manage him. I don't get paid for that. So I want to talk to the person who's responsible. It is a problem for everyone in our area. It's a problem for me. I don't do the everybody in the section believe, but it's a problem for me, right? How do you begin and prepare for that courageous conversation with a supervisor and getting them involved to handle the issue? Because sometimes people don't know how to address or approach a supervisor about the issues that they're having with other coworkers.
Hold on for just a second. Can you keep talking for just a moment while
Absolutely.
I look something up?
Okay, so Jonathan, so one of the things that I've noticed, and back in the day when I was working with the state, it was something that would always come up, and everyone would have the same issue with the same person. Maybe they were too loud. Maybe they, wore perfume that was offensive. But how do you prepare yourself for that courageous conversation?
To talk directly with that person?
No,
or
you've already
take it
done
up a
that.
level.
To take it up a level.
You've talked directly with that person. They haven't done anything about it. You take it up a level. Here's where kind of my Lutheran upbringing comes into it.
We're about to take you to church.
I just had to make sure that I wasn't going to speak the wrong words here. Luther's explanation to the 8th commandment, thou shalt not lie.
Okay.
Right? Is we should fear and love God so that we do not lie, betray, slander, or ruin our neighbor's reputation, but instead defend them, speak well of them, and explain everything in the kindest way. Or put the best construction on everything is another way that it's put. And that's really what it is when you go up that level, it's not, can you believe what this person is doing? This person is awful. Here's the bad stuff. It's, hey, here's what's going on. I have an issue with this person. I tried to come up to them with it, and just try and be, if you can't be kind about it, be neutral about it.
And I want to correct something, because your issue isn't with the person, it's with what the person is doing, with the behavior.
Yeah.
And I think that's, people find it hard to separate.
I've had issues with people though.
Me too. but sometimes people find it hard to separate the issue with the behavior and the issue with the person. I don't have a problem with you, but I do have a problem with how you're showing up or how you're doing this.
And it helps to have a channel for that. So I've got a boss that has basically an open door. I'm able to set up a time, come in and talk to them at any time and really say what I want to say. Sometimes this needs to be an email so that there's a written record of, I'm having, like, this problem is happening. What are we going to do about it? There's a written record that's been brought up now. So if HR gets involved, it's, look, I brought it up.
There's a history.
I brought it up at this time.
Yeah.
But it really comes down to finding that appropriate channel, whether it is going to your supervisor, going to your boss in the appropriate way, whether it's an email, a phone call, an in-person conversation, and not just a gossiping, you-know-what fest. But it's got to be done professionally, and it's got to be neutral, or put it in the kindest way you possibly can.
I'm laughing because I've been in the boss's room a number of times, and when this show first came on, people hated the conversations that we were having, and I guess it was because of whatever was replaced in the slot that it was very different than the opinions that I was expressing, and the boss, as we are calling him, he bring me, hey Kareem, so yeah, we got to have this conversation. I got some phone calls, and but he is very thoughtful in how he handles situations. So those of you out there, if you're listening to this, he listens to what you have to say. If
you're in a supervisor role,
yeah,
you got to be open to,
absolutely, and they take in the feedback,
yep,
and they share the feedback. And so he says, yeah, I got all of these calls, and I was driving. I said, let me tune in and let me listen. Am I sounding like him or what? This is crazy. And so he had that conversation. He was like, these are things. He says, your show is an opinion show. You're sharing ideas. So I certainly understand that. I shared that with them. But I just want you to be aware of that so that as you're having conversations, not that you have to change your opinion, but you're aware of certain things and you approach it with a certain nuance.
And most of the time when I've got a problem going on and I have to escalate it to that next level, I've had it in previous jobs as well.
Yeah.
It's not just here. It is, can you look at this? Can you put eyes on this, boss?
Yeah.
Can you come in and just fill in for me for a shift? I've had a supervisor say, I'm going to take your next shift. I'm going to see if it happens while I'm there.
Right.
I've had my boss while I'm here. Okay, I'll listen. Or, okay, can you write down the next few times this happens and then let me know? Just bring attention to it first before you try and expect some result from it. Because if you walk in thinking, I want this person fired right now, I want this taken away from them, whatever, you're not going to get that. That's not the way to pursue results, and that's not the way to make a good workplace.
All right, so I want to flip the script on this conversation, Jonathan, and go a different direction. Courageous conversation with the supervisor, not about someone else, but about yourself. Oftentimes we have those situations that arise that we feel overlooked in our workplace. We feel that what we bring to the table is not being valued or properly seen. And we feel that we have to advocate for ourselves. I am the biggest proponent for advocating for yourself. How do you approach that kind of a conversation when you are the topic, your treatment of it is the topic, your feeling in the workspace is the topic? How do you approach it differently in that perspective?
No, when I'm trying to build a case for myself, I'm documenting stuff. I'm writing down, here's what I do. Can we look at what I do? I went to my boss here one time and I said, I need a job description because what my job description on paper is, and here's what I'm actually doing. Here's my list on a weekly basis. Here, look at it. Give me a job description so I know what I'm doing. And it's coming at it with facts and not emotion. It's, you don't appreciate me. You don't appreciate all the things that I do. I make this company run. Me. No, it's, I know my place and here's what that place is. And I need to make sure that you know what I'm doing because you're my boss. You should know what I'm doing, but also you understand the value that I'm contributing. And sometimes that list comes with, I need a job description and I need a raise. I've had a coworker come with a list of things and say, here's all the things that I'm doing. If we can't work something out, I'm going to have to take this off the list, this off the list, and this off the list because I can't sustain this.
And I think it's important. But another reason I think it's important what your daily tasks are when you think that you're due for a raise is because, and I'll tell you this as a manager of people who has a number of people who report to me, how something was intended to be when you were kind of casting it out in your vision quest is not always exactly how things operate in the everyday experience. And I've had people come to me like, I'm doing this and I'm also doing this, but these things aren't assigned to me in my job description. Can we take a look at what we can do to work this thing out? And what you're saying is so very important. You prepare for meeting with yourself or an employee for your upward advancement, even more so, but very in the same way that you would when you have a complaint. I want you guys to come back next week as we talk about how to get that raise and deal with the issues of not feeling purpose in your workplace. We'll see you next week with more.